In John chapter 6, we see something absolutely incredible, very special indeed, because Jesus is sitting there and people come to him from all over. And the moment that he sees them coming to him, he expresses his heart's desire towards them with a question. He says, "Where are we going to get food to feed them?" You see, the very first thing on Jesus's mind when someone comes to him is to feed them. He wants to give to them nourishment from his own hand. We see in Matthew chapter 26, Jesus takes the bread, he breaks it, and he gives it to the disciples. And he says right there, this is the new covenant. The new covenant is summed up in receiving Jesus as nourishment. Nourishment from Jesus that is Jesus. He is the great shepherd who feeds his flock with himself. You see, the special thing about the way God has created this entire world is this. He has made everything knowing us so much so that he created our need for food every day. He installed that in our lives that you know very well and I know very well, so that when he would come as a man, he could stand in front of men and say, "I am the bread of life." In other words, he knew that he wanted you to recognize what he was for you. And so he created this principle called eating for life. And so when he comes, he says, "I am the food that comes down from heaven." What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say this, that coming to Jesus, he will give to you himself as life. And that nourishment that he gives to you will bring out nutrients into your being, which will cause you to effortlessly walk out his nature. Here's the reason why so many people have so many problems in their Christian lives. It's because they're malnourished. They're not eating the Lord. They're not receiving him as food. And because they're not receiving him as food, what happens is they don't have the strength, the nutrients necessary to walk out his nature. But the nature comes from the sweet nutrients of heaven. The heavenly nature comes from the heavenly diet, which is receiving Jesus as life. 1 John tells us, he who has the Son has life, and he who has not the Son has not life. In other words, in order for there to ever be fruit, there must first be life. If there's fruit, it's a sign of life. If there's no fruit, it's a sign of no life. So we receive Jesus as life through the nourishment of himself given to us by himself. And this nourishment gives us the nutrients needed to walk out his nature. Here's all the healing you need. Come to the table of the Lord Most High. Come to the descending table and sit and dine with him. Receive from his own hand him as life source and life supply. And you'll begin to see, like never before, you'll begin to see the internal empowerment of God so that you'll be able to obey him with ease and simplicity. I'm telling you here, there's a phrase in America that we say, you are what you eat. And so it is in the Spirit. If you eat the Lord, you will become like the Lord. If you choose not to eat the Lord, you will not become like the Lord. There is only one way to have this heavenly nature, and it's to eat him who comes down from heaven, Jesus, receiving him as life every single day. Give us this day our daily bread. Man will not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. And Jesus is that precious, magnificent, matchless word for you every single day. Let me pray for you. Lord, I thank you that because you are so kind, you have invited us, though we are weak and feeble empty and broken, you have invited us to your table to sit and dine with you, to receive you as life. I pray that you open up this in the minds of every viewer, that they would believe it and receive it and literally take advantage of it. Literally take it as the number one reason for living is to come and sit with you and dine with you. Amen. God bless you guys.